Getting funded is incredibly difficult. I myself had to sign up for a whole bunch of challenges before I passed, but I came across a tweet last week that absolutely blew my mind, and I had to go down a rabbit hole and figure out exactly what went on here. Yes, the title of this video is true. I found a trader on Twitter that said they spent $100,000, six figures, on challenges, and we need to 100% talk about what's going on here. Okay, we're gonna put the tweet up somewhere around here so you can see exactly what this trader said. Unfortunately, it looks like that the trader ran into some issues when it came to their payout, but that is a story for a different day. We're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about the overall thing that's going on here. The fact that the trader spent six figures on challenges and what it means, not just for this trader, but more specifically for you. If you have this much money, should you still be taking challenges? Or at that point, should you just be trading a personal account? Because as many firms are struggling nowadays, us at Lark, we are totally fine. We're about to hit our 2-year anniversary with 0 denied payouts. But many firms are struggling since MetaQuote cut them off. And this has raised the discussion once again of prop firm challenges versus trading personal capital. And this tweet hits that discussion exactly on the nail. Okay, so before we break down the exact numbers and compare taking challenge accounts to trading a personal account, I think we need to talk about this specific traders and traders that spend a ton of money on prop firm challenges. For me, let's back up all the way to 2021. I moved out from my parents' place, I quit my job, and I only had 12 months worth of living expenses saved up. If I blew through all of that, I was going to have to go get another minimum wage job, and I most certainly did not want to go back to the Gap folding baby pants. So I needed to make things work. And for me, that was getting funded. But because I was on such a tight budget, I was extremely specific and methodical when it came to actually signing up and taking my challenge. And I think a lot of traders forget about this nowadays. You see, you're only supposed to take a challenge once you are a profitable trader, once you're a consistent trader, once you actually know what you are doing. So when I moved out from my parents' place, yes, I had been trading for 5 years. I had never taken a challenge before. I was not a funded trader by any means before I went all in. But I only signed up for my first challenge roughly 4 months after focusing full-time every day up at 5 a.m. scanning the charts and taking trades because I didn't want to lose the $550 that I was spending on a challenge. And that was $550 US. I'm in Canada, so it was closer to $750, but that's besides the point. For me, it was a ton of money. And I think a lot of traders, they get so fixated on the idea of how much money they can make with these companies that rather than doing the hard work, rather than refining their edge, their skill, becoming profitable, becoming consistent, they don't do that hard work and they jump right into the challenges. And this is how you can go down a huge rabbit hole of spending an ungodly and unnecessary amount of money. I have been there. It's so tempting when you fail a challenge at $500. Oh, I just made one mistake. Let me spend another $500. I won't make that mistake. And you fail and you all of a sudden are on this hamster wheel. It's incredibly difficult to get off of it. And so I think the first point of this video, the main takeaway thus far of this video is that really as a trader, it's important to develop your edge before you go all in, before you take these challenges. And again, I own a funding company. I own Lark Funding, but I am still telling you, you should only sign up for an evaluation once you actually know what you are doing, you are consistent, and you are profitable. Okay, so now let's compare taking a challenge account to a personal trading account. To make things short right off the bat, if you don't have very much money, you need to get funded because if you even only have a couple of $1,000s, it's not worth it to trade your own capital. That doesn't mean you shouldn't and build it up over time. But if you want to make a significant amount of money from trading, you need to get funded. But that is under the assumption that you don't have a lot of money to fund a personal account with. But let's fast forward a few years. You're successful. You've received multiple payouts. You now have money that you can use towards funding a personal account. Is it actually worth it, or should you continue to use these challenge accounts? Well, I ran some numbers and the comparison was pretty interesting. So let's say you have $100,000 like this trader to spend on challenge accounts or fund a personal account. At $500 a pop, you could buy 200 100K challenges. Assuming they are $500, you could buy 200 challenges. That is absolutely insane. Now, I like to be conservative. I always like to plan for the worst possible scenario. So these are some conservative stats that I used for this assumption. So if you are liberal, I apologize. But let's assume a 50% pass rate, a 25% payout rate. So you'll pass 50% of your challenges, and out of those 50%, 25% of those you'll go on to receive a payout. So by no means insane stats, okay? Your average payout size will be 5%. So not going for these huge major influencer type 30% payouts, 5% average payout. If you do that for 200 challenges, your total payout will be $125,000, which means you will profit $25,000. Now that's not bad. That's actually a 25% return, which is pretty incredible, but it's not that great for the risk that you outlaid of putting out that $100,000 to take those challenges. Now, obviously, you would want your numbers to be better than this. Like I mentioned earlier on in the video, you only want to be taking these challenges if you are successful, if you know what you're doing, if you're a consistent trader, which means you should theoretically be passing more than 50%, and your payout rate should most certainly be higher than the 25%. So for all of you liberals out there, we're very inclusive at Lark Funding. What happens if you assume some better results, some better returns, some better stats? Okay, let's assume an 80% pass rate. We are by no means perfect, but 80% is absolutely incredible, which I think is possible. If you are a phenomenal trader and you're patient, you're not trying to rush these challenges, I think that's possible. Then let's assume a 50% payout rate. So out of the 80 challenges or however many challenges you'll pass, you get a payout on 50% of them. Again, with the average payout size of 5%, because no matter what, we don't like gamblers at Lark Funding. That means with these stats, your total payouts would be $400,000. $400,000, which is a total profit of $300,000. That is a 4x return, which is absolutely insane. Now, you might be watching and say that the conservative stats are very realistic or unrealistic. They're way better. You might even say that these liberal stats are not as good as your stats, and that's totally fine. But I think it's very important to mention the caveat that over 2 years of operating, we have seen the data of thousands and thousands of traders. And both of these statistics would actually put you in the top 1% of traders. You see traders online that say I have a 90% win rate, an average risk reward of 5-1, this and that. But the reality says if you can have a 2-1 risk reward with a 60% win rate, you will be rich. You will be a phenomenal trader. And so don't think you have to hit it out of the sky in order to be successful. These stats are literally amazing. Okay, so now that we know roughly around these stats how much money you can make with these challenges, let's look at the numbers if you were to trade a personal account, okay? You drop 6 figures, you drop 100K into a personal account. Let's assume some of the following stats. $100,000 account size. Let's say your monthly compounded return is 5%, so you're still making 5% a month, okay? If you don't have any single withdrawals, no withdrawals whatsoever, but you're going to compound that 5% monthly return, at the end of the year, you will have $79,585. So that is roughly an 80% return, which is absolutely insane. It's phenomenal. You will be a top 0.1% trader. It's insane, okay? But again, if you haven't withdrawn anything, let's say if you do withdraw the 5K every single month, your returns will be $60,000. You're taking out 5K every month, 12 months. That's a $60,000 return, which is still 60%. Absolutely insane. But it is not as much as number 2 when it comes to the challenge accounts, those second statistics where you made 300K. So you can kind of see the difference there. So when it comes to what is better, well, it really is a personal decision. It comes down to your goals, the type of trader you are, and what you're trying to do. For 99% of you watching, you're watching because you are most likely in the exact same position I was in 2021. You want to make a ton of money from trading. You maybe want to do it full time. You want to have side income, whatever it is. You want to make money from trading, and you want it to be a significant amount. And if you are like me, a small trading account of $1,000, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, making 5% a month, 10% a month is not going to pay the bills, which means you need to get funded. So for 99% of you watching, I think that still to this day, the very best opportunity for traders is to get funded, to pass one of these challenges and to go on to receive a payout. But a few years down the road, once you do reach that point of being successful, having those payouts, I think there is still an argument to be made, or a discussion at least at minimum to be had, about funding that personal account and growing it and seeing what you can do from that standpoint. Personally, ever since I got funded in 2021, I withdrew from my personal account. I have not traded personal fund since. And I still think that for most, at least for me, is the way to go. So, interesting discussion. I do hope this trader in question gets his payout and everything gets resolved in that front. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Before you leave, it's important that you note that we are building the #1 newsletter for traders. We just crossed 25,000 subscribers. It is completely free every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're sending out tons of goodies, news, updates, drama in the prop firm industry, insider stats from our traders, other traders. We're starting to collab with other traders. Tons of good stuff every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, completely free. Subscribe to that down below. We will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and until then, peace.